Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Good morning to all of y'all. It's morning for me. I don't know when you're gonna watch this video, but it's morning over here. Anyway, we are going to be checking out the Dune Awakening Director Episode 1. Apparently this is a new Dune MMO game. I have no idea what to expect. A trailer dropped. I decided to skip that, and I'm going to straight up just go into the Director's Awakening Director Episode 1. We're going to be reacting to that together today. Disclaimer, I don't know much of anything about Dune. To be completely honest. I wonder if this is going to be PC only. Okay, well, right off the bat, we have one vehicle. We have one vehicle over here, which is like a three-wheeled bike. This could be interesting if we could use it, but I don't think they're going to give us the plane, if I'm being totally honest. Classic sandworm. Okay, it seems like it's going to be teams of 4 as well. I guess you can have like a squad of 4 to 4-player co-op perhaps. This is really giving me some like Destiny vibes. Dune Awakening.
Hello and welcome to the very first Dune Awakening Direct, a brand new series where we'll be taking a look at all things Dune Awakening from our studio here on Arrakis. On this episode...
I'm not gonna lie, that's a really nice setup. I've seen a lot of setups for a lot of these games direct and a lot of them are garbage. This one is very nice. I don't know if it's a green screen. I know this isn't real, but if they built this stuff here, probably not. Be pretty cool.
We'll be chatting to Joel Bylos. He's the Chief Creative Officer for Dune Awakening here at Funcom, and he will tell us what players can look forward to this year, and he will share some news about our beta testing phase. Then we'll also be taking a look at the brand new gameplay trailer that we're just so excited to share with you all. But first, we'll look at what it takes to bring the most dangerous planet in the universe to life, from book to film to video game. Let's get started with creating worlds.
Oh, cool! This is
Arrakis
like this is more than just a showcasing the game. They're going to be talking about the creative process of how they made it, which I think is actually pretty cool because I feel like not enough developers and directors want to talk about the development process of the game. And by doing so in a public space like YouTube, it gives access to more people who could be interested in that field and could actually end up being beneficial to the industry in the future. So making this type of information public is honestly fantastic. I know we're just a minute into it, but I am here for it.
Unrelenting anvil against which people are beaten and shaped and forged into something that's stronger.
There's something very spiritual about that sand, which on the surface is really nothing, but underneath has a really diverse biological backstory.
One of my favorite lines from Frank Herbert is, when you end a novel...
Unreal Engine 5.2? I didn't even know that was a thing. We just got an Unreal Engine 5. We're already at 5.2. We need to... This is the big... You know, I always told myself that if it got to the point where I could not distinguish animation from reality, I would give credence to all of this is a simulation. And I mean, we're getting there. We are getting there.
It's like a train coming into the station that doesn't stop. You just jam on the brakes and let the sparks...
Oh, melee weapons.
From Frank Herbert is, when you end a novel, it's like a train coming into the station that doesn't stop.
So we have... I think they have the same weapon, and they are sneaking, so I guess there's an implication of some sort of stealth mechanic as well.
You just jam on the brakes and let the sparks fly into people's imagination.
Tank as a usable vehicle. Can you call down an airstrike? Can you call down an airstrike like in Helldivers?
Arrakis is a test, is what the Fremen say. And the player comes right into the heart of that test. Dune Awakening is a survival game at the base level. And it begins like a traditional survival game, you know, like you're looking
Okay,
for
so we
water,
have
you're
it.
looking
It's
for
a survival
shelter.
game.
You know, where will you find water in the desert? Will you take it from others? So when we talk about survival, sure, we start with the basic kind of survive. And then when you've survived long enough, it's now time to think about political survival and how you progress within the universe. The approach we
Is this
take
like
when
a create
building
your own
world like
city type
Arrakis
of
is
survival
we kind
game?
of have to think about where are the stark lines and how do we draw these epic spaces? How do we make them feel huge and the player feels dwarfed by everything they see around them?
The intention was every time we saw the desert, it was highly brutal, and if you went out into the desert without the right protection and without the right knowledge, that it was sure death. If we looked at references from some of the hottest deserts in the world, the visuals that we saw from those deserts weren't enough. We needed this world to be even harsher.
So we've been working with Legendary since the very beginning. They've been very generous with sharing with us assets from the film and allowing us to see things from the film and allowing us to really understand the vision that Denis Villeneuve has for the world and his characters and the way he's grounding Arrakis. But of course, a game is a much larger scale, so we need to expand upon that vision. We have our own army of concept artists who are sending things back and forth with Legendary all the time. One of my best moments on this project so far actually was I got to go and visit the set of the first film with a group of the people from Funcom, the art directors, the lead artists, and we got to walk around in the actual sets that they had built in classic.
You know, you would think that game directors and developers and film producers and directors would work more hand in hand. I don't really know how easy it was for him to do this, but the fact that he's mentioned like, oh, can you believe he led us on the set of the film? I mean, like, the movie's gonna help the game, and the game is gonna help the movie. So I'm super happy that they got to an understanding where they were able to go on the set of the film and explore more. But I feel like this should just be common amongst directors and developers if they're working on the same IP, because I mean, they're just going to help each other. Then again, this is coming from the perspective of a person who is neither a game developer or a film director, so take it with a grain of salt.
Old school set building, massive palaces, and we got to look at the ornithopters from the inside and the outside, right? We got to walk around them and get a sense of their scale.
Well, I think what they had done really well is they'd been quite inspired by the world that we had built in Dune Part 1. Now, in a film, you're sort of led on a journey by the director and by the script, whereas in a game, you have the opportunity to sort of create your own narrative and create your own journey. The most exciting aspect for me is the fact that you can take what you've enjoyed and loved and you can build your own stories and your own places. And that, to me, is the ultimate goal, is to have, you know, complete control.
Using Unreal 5 to create a game is obviously one of the better choices. Unreal 5 gives us flexibility through the blueprinting system. It allows us to handle amazing graphics through the rendering system, the lighting system, such as Lumen. Lumen technology allows proper light bouncing. If I had to say one thing in the game that really benefits from Lumen, it's player crafted spaces. In our case, it's like you build a room and you place a window, and the window lets in natural light, and the light will fill the room in a way that feels real. And that technology hasn't existed before. Before Unreal 5, in the olden days, you had to use what we called the LOD system. And that meant that you had to create assets at different LOD levels, so it doesn't slow down everybody's computer. With Unreal 5, we have this new technology called nanite that breaks things down into the right amount of polygons at the right distance. So for us,
Okay, well, confirm the game is coming out on PC. He just said so.
as a company, this has made an amazing difference to the visual detail of the world. It allows us to create one really amazing looking cliff piece, for example, and then doesn't matter how far away or how close we place it, it performs well, and it looks away or how close. Create one.
This looks real. If I didn't know, and you just showed me like, yeah, look at this rock real quick, you could bamboozle me.
Really amazing looking cliff piece, for example, and then doesn't matter how far away or how close we place it, it performs well, and it looks great.
Where Unreal worked for us on Dune was that it was a fantastic pre-production and planning tool. On Dune Part 2, we had some very complicated scenes, and we were able to previs all the way from Budapest what the light was going to be doing well in advance. It's the only tool that I've used, I would say, in my 25 years of shooting that is able to be used across a wide spectrum of films.
That is amazing. If this is all just Unreal Engine 5, look at the shadow displacement. Look.
That is able to be used across
That
a
looks
wide
real to
spectrum
me.
of films by different types of filmmakers.
The most iconic creature in the Dune universe is the sandworm of Arrakis. And so we've tried to represent this in the game in multiple ways.
Is there
So
just
as a player,
one?
your first steps on the open sand, you hear the hiss of the sand in the distance as a sandworm begins to move towards you. And when it gets close, you hear the roar as it erupts from the sand nearby. And at that point, you have only seconds to live if you cannot make it to rocky ground. So this is your first experience with sandworms. And these are the little ones. When you go into the deep desert, when you're harvesting
Confirmed multiple sandworms. Okay, cool.
spice, the giant ringmouth sandworms that we've seen in the film will erupt underneath the spice blows and suck harvesters and equipment down into the sand beneath them. There's really only one rule. The sandworm will always come.
I'm not even into survival games, and that has got me interested, to say the least.
Humans have always had this innate drive to create something, to build worlds, whether it's in their head, whether it's in text, whether it's on screens, whether it's in games. Funcom as a company has been on this journey for a long time, creating multiplayer worlds where players can live out their dreams and fantasies. We were there in the beginning with massively multiplayer online games. We've been there in the beginning with survival open world crafting games. And Dune is a combination of those legacies, bringing us forward into the future. It's the culmination of what Funcom means as a company and what we can deliver. And this legacy means that we need to really pay attention to what we're creating and how we create it for the fans. Because
Okay,
I think
another
at the heart
vehicle
of this,
confirmed.
there's a
This looks like a faster version of a tank, kind of like an ATV, all-terrain vehicle tank, with maybe missiles at the top. I wonder if those are customizable. I wonder if we can get vehicle customization. That'd be pretty cool.
how we create it for the fans. Because I think at the heart of this, there's a lot of people out there who really want to live in the universe that Frank Herbert created. And they really want to live in the visual world of the films that they see from Villeneuve. And so we need to create the gap between those two possibility spaces and create a game world where people can live out their fantasies that they've taken from Dune. And yes, it's a huge legacy, and it feels at times extremely overwhelming, but we really hope that we can deliver something for everybody.
Wow, that was great. Creating captivating visions
pretty impressive.
on the big screen, and the immersive world of games, of course, both certainly come with their own unique set of challenges. And I think it's very clear that both mediums draw deeply from the seminal book that started it all. Now, of course, Villeneuve's movies have mesmerized the audiences with their adaptation of Frank Herbert's masterpiece. It's been showcasing the intricate politics, the very stunning visuals, and the harsh desert of Arrakis. And now, as we venture into the game, the challenges of bringing this rich universe to life really takes on new forms. So, here to share this exciting process with us is Joel Biles, the Chief Creative Officer for Dune Awakening. Joel, welcome to the first ever show.
Thank you very
Oh my god, I love it. Look at this man. He seems so
Here to
uninterested.
share this exciting process with us is Joel Biles.
Look how happy she is. She can like barely even contain how happy she is.
With us is
And
Joel
then we
Biles,
cut
the Chief
over
Creative
to this
Officer.
dude. Just, it's like, I don't get paid enough to be here. I don't want to be here. I want to go home.
Awakening. Joel, welcome to the first ever show.
Thank you very much for having me. It's exciting to be here.
I am so excited that you're here because I get to pick your brain. I have so many questions and I want to dive straight into this. Dune Awakening is a survival MMO. Two words everyone watching will be familiar with, but what's your take on that? What is a survival MMO?
Sure. So survival games are obviously a genre of games about like building yourself up from the bottom and surviving. MMOs are more about social interaction and you know how players work together to achieve big goals. And we thought, why not combine the two? You know, why don't we create a game? Because most of the survival games that are out there, they kind of you once you get to a certain point of survival, it kind of ends, and that's kind of where you've gotten to. But what we thought was like the universe of Dune is a perfect place with these politics and this intrigue and there's machinations that happen. So let's get players hooked on the survival and then bring them into the political survival of the Dune universe.
This is a genius move because, like, it is true in survival games, once you've gotten to the top, it pretty much ends there. There's nothing left for you to do, nothing left for you to craft or unlock. Adding a like political aspect to it where you might have to trade and conquer and go to war or open trade routes and stuff like that would definitely add some longevity to the game. I really hope we're gonna have different kind of modes. I remember playing this survival game. It was a vampire survival game where you could play a PvE VP mode where like you'd build your castle and there would be other vampires in the area that could also attack your castle, raid you, take your loot, that kind of stuff. And there was another mode where it was just PvE where other fellow vampires could come in and you guys could build a fortress together and not be attacked by any players. It's more like a pacifist mode. So I'm hoping that we have, since it's an MMO, we might not have those complete options, but maybe have an option where possibly your base, like if you build your base in a different area, that area, anyone who builds a base in that area cannot have that base raided if they don't want to engage in the PvP aspect. And then, or you could have a non-violent PvE server and then a PvPvE server. That's not easy for me to say, man. I'm struggling. If they give players both of these options, I could see this game having like a super long shelf life.
Let's break it down then and dive a little deeper, starting with the survival part. What are we surviving on Arrakis? What's out there? I mean, worms, yeah, players?
Sandstorms.
What else?
Other players. Yeah, so the player, I mean, obviously Arrakis is all about the heat and the water. So the player, first of all, needs to be searching for water. They need to stay out of the sun, stay in black shade during the daytime, travel by night.
Dramatic, I love it.
That's what the
Is there going to be different color shade? Is there going to be like, I'm wondering, because obviously shade is black, but but is there going to be like the more intense the shade is, the better the cooling effect, or was this just like a slip of the tongue?
in the daytime, travel by
Dramatic,
night.
I love it.
That's what the Fremen say, right? That's what
Yep.
the Kitan al-Gaib says it in the book, right? Black shade by day, travel by night. So the player needs to worry about these things, think about the sunlight, think about where they are, but they also need water because that runs out really quickly without a still suit and you die very fast. So yeah, there's lots of ways in which to get water. You can explore dew fields and eat plant fiber to try and get water out of it.
I feel like this game is going to be very, very brutal. Like it's going to be a hardcore survival game.
After a while, you start to throw up because you can't really get too much water out of plants that way. And then the way I prefer to do it is to shoot enemies, take their blood, drink that.
You just casually dropped that right there. Okay.
Interesting. Not what I would have done, not what I would have thought of, but hey man, water's water. Water's water, I guess.
So we're harvesting blood, or just
Yeah. So there's going to be a very big emphasis on PvP. I can sense this. I don't think we're going to get a harmony server.
lick some plants, whichever way you choose. You're going to stay hydrated, which is very important.
Yes.
Yeah, stay hydrated at home, in and out of game. Are there other resources I need to worry about?
Yeah, so as a player, it's a proper survival open world crafting game, right? So players will craft their entire arsenal, right? So they'll be collecting resources, they'll be collecting stone, they'll be collecting metals like copper, iron, eventually forging steel, building up the equipment that they have at home. So they'll be crafting, all their weapons, all of their gear, all of their clothing, and they can of course craft themselves a base to live in, craft machines to help them craft bigger machines, which allow them to craft better weapons and so forth.
All right. So there's a lot to.
Now, I understand it's a survival game, there's a crafting system. When it comes to crafting, they like to make you wait. If this is going to be a full price game, do not make me wait like multiple hours or multiple days to get something done. It's like, one of the issues with crafting in a lot of games is, like, let's take Warframe for example. You want to craft something and it takes you 3 days. 3 real human days to craft that item. Or you can pay to get it crafted immediately. I get it's a free to play, so it's a bit different. So it's a bit more understandable when it comes to Warframe. I'm hoping that if this is going to be a fully priced game, that you're not going to make me sit there for like 3 days just to craft like a handgun or something. Sure, make me wait a couple of minutes, but don't make me wait like a week. You know, so like relax with the crafting time.
Did you, is what I'm hearing. Base building you just mentioned, that's obviously very exciting. I saw you guys shared a sneak peek of what a base could look like already on your TikTok channel. Very cozy. Why would I ever leave a home like that and like head out into the desert? But I'm sure you guys give us plenty of reasons to do just that. Is there anything special about the base building in this game?
Yeah, so we took what we started with in Conan Exiles, our other survival game. We brought that over. Then we started to add to it, right? So we've now created a system for co-op building where you can place out holograms and other players can fill them in. So you work with your friends to build bases. You can also save your base as like an architectural blueprint that you can then sell to other players on the exchange, or you can give to your friends. So they, you know, if you make something really cool. One of the things we saw in Conan Exiles that I really liked was that players were building the Taj Mahal. They were just building really cool buildings. And it's like, what if you could sell that to another player? That'd be cool, right? So another player might want to be able to just buy that blueprint off you and then place that out in the world and build it themselves. So we're really enabling this sharing and sort of the way the building system works, allowing it to be very cooperative.
That's incredible.
People who are good at base building can turn Dune into a full-time job. I promise you. If there's going to be a trade system like this, and if you can use like real actual currency, you could turn this game into a full-time job. You just build bases and then sell them.
I absolutely love that. Well, I know my story arc is going to be architect who harvests blood occasionally, but you know, you do what you got to do. Now that I have my basic needs all met, you know, I'm staying hydrated in some unkosher ways, and I'm having my base. How do I protect myself and my base from the world? Like, what am I doing for combat here?
So the game has a full leveling system, right? And we do this thing we call combined arms, which is like we have melee, we have ranged, and we have abilities, and we also have vehicles, right? So players can use any combination of these in combat, right? So it's kind of creates this interesting dynamic. So you can learn abilities from the great schools of the universe and learn how to be a Bene Gesserit, compelling your enemies to come close to you so that you can stab them with a knife. And you combine so you're combining melee with abilities there, right? Or you can be a sword master and leap in with a knee charge, knocking people to the ground and then stabbing them. Or you can choose to be like a trooper and you use your Shigawire reel to pull you up like a grappling hook, to pull you to high places where you can shoot down on your enemies with sniper rifles and shotguns. So there's a large variety of weapons that you can craft through our intricate crafting system, in addition to these abilities that you learn as you level up your character. So you kind of have this freedom of choice, and that's really what Combined Arms is all about. It's sandbox combat. That's what we're trying to call it and what we're going for, right?
Interesting. Instead of giving me classes, like really allows me to just build my character how I want them to, and to basically create my own class. This is fantastic. I don't know if you guys remember this game. It came out on the PS3. It's called Remember Me, where you could create your own combo strings. I thought it was a super interesting idea. It was a relatively smaller game, so it did not get like the attention that personally I think it deserved. Also, it wasn't like the best game in the world, to be fair, but it was still a very good game, and I really enjoyed that mechanic. And it seems like that's what they're trying to do with Dune Awakening. They're trying to open up the your skills and allow you to create your own class, which honestly, I am here for that. I think more developers should give us that. Give me the ability to create my own character. Turn this into a real MMORPG.
Are those hard locked in classes, or is there like can I explore different skill trees? Like,
yes.
Can I be a swordsman or a swordsmaster and also use the voice? Is that possible?
It's absolutely possible. You just have to find the right trainer in the world who'll teach you these things. So you choose in character creation, you make a choice of who was your mentor when you were young. And then you choose one of the things, and that determines your set of starting abilities. But then when you play the game, you find trainers in the world. You have to do things for them, but then they'll eventually teach you some of the way, the path that can take you down some of these skills and abilities, yeah.
I love that. Okay, so lots of things to explore there as a player and avenues to take, all in order to protect myself. and maybe my friends if I feel like it. What am I protecting? Like, how do I protect myself against sandworms? Like, can I fight them? Can I ride them? Like, what's the deal with them?
Sandworms
you run from them.
are like a tension mechanic in the game. We want you
Okay.
to be really worried every time you walk on the sand. So you really need to think about what you're doing. So there is no way to kill or defeat sandworms.
No,
the only thing
I
you can
cannot.
do, you just cannot. The only thing you can do is avoid the sandworms, right? So
I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. I think that if there was a way to control sandworms, it would control the meta of the game. Obviously, people would constantly be grabbing sandworms because they'd be the best thing. Or if they balanced it, sandworms wouldn't have as big as a threat when they're there, which defeats the purpose of the sandworms to begin with. So I think having the sandworms be a tension mechanic is a phenomenal idea by Joel over here.
you craft yourself a thumper and place it out to distract a sandworm. Maybe you use it to lure a sandworm onto some friends of yours or some
Friends,
depending on how
as
you
one
feel.
does.
And the other thing you can do, of course, is craft yourself a vehicle. Like we have a range of vehicles in the game, including the iconic ornithopters, and players will be able to craft these, and you'll be able to use these to, of course, traverse safely. Right? If you're in an ornithopter, you fly above. If you're on a sand bike or something like that, you can move quickly across the sand. Hopefully, a sandworm won't get you if you time.
Oh, okay, so you do have access to the flying vehicle as well. Okay, so cool.
Hopefully, you know.
That's always hoping.
Like,
I love
yeah.
a constant looming threat. Sounds really stressful. Sounds perfect, actually, for a survival MMO. Now, you already alluded to some of the cooperative things one can do in game. Can you elaborate a little bit more here, or dive deeper into this? Like,
Sure.
Can I fully go on a journey with someone and then do tasks with each other? Like, what can I do with other people?
Yeah, so I mean, hook up with your friends, join together with a grouping system. We have a ping system, so you can, obviously point out things to players. You will find different roles that you can assume based on the kind of combination of abilities you want to bring with you. And then you can heal your friends, of course, get them up when they get knocked down in combat, things like that. And then, of course, you go on journeys. Like we have a system called the journey system. You can go on those journeys together and sort of explore the mystique of the universe. Through that, we also have a contract system. When you go to trade posts, you'll be able to take contracts. Your friend and you can go out and explore and do these contracts together. We have small group play, we have guild play. It's all kind of what you'd expect to see in a social experience.
What's your take on the politics? Because obviously the books and the movies.
This is what I'm the most excited for, the political aspect of the game. I want to see how much are they going to be allocating to this, or is this just, fluff?
That's a big part of it, like the whole political intrigue. How predominant is that in the game?
I mean, we want players to be able to dip into it. So you start the game kind of lost in the desert, right? And then by the end of the game, maybe you're the next Baron Harkonnen. So as you play through the game,
who doesn't want to be him?
He's a good-looking man.
Oh yeah. Mm.
As you make your way through the game, you progress and you sort of meet these factions in the world, right? The Atreides and the Harkonnen are at war. There's a war of assassins going on, as it's called. And as a player, you decide which side you want to help, which side you want to join. Then you start to partake in missions for those factions.
I wonder if that's going to have story impacting implications. Are you going to have different endings? Because I get it is an MMO, so there's no real true ending, but it seems like there is going to be a storyline to follow to some degree. And I am hoping that depending on what faction you decide to choose to aid or to not help, I hope you're going to get an ending pertaining to that faction.
And eventually, yeah, you work your way up through the ranks of the factions and maybe you take on a position of power as well. So the politics are, they're designed to actually encourage players to develop their own politics around the sandbox systems, right? So we have this Landsrad. The Landsrad will demand that players do certain things. The factions need to work together or against each other to achieve these goals, right? So there's also this sandbox element to the politics.
Which also then encourages co-op play or PvP play more.
Co-op play or PvP play, yeah. Yeah, there's this this kind of idea that, when people have the same objective, but they're on opposite sides, it becomes a race between them to achieve that objective, and they'll do all sorts of dirty things to get to the top right.
Sounds about right. Can I opt out of politics? Can I just live my peaceful little Swiss life in my cottage?
Absolutely. You can play however you want. I mean, the idea is to be a sandbox and allow people to approach it how they like. We have We have one of the pillars of the game is expression and customization, and that's not just about visuals. It's customizing how you want to play the game. So it's really thinking about like, well, I really like to craft and just set up my little crafting setup and sell things on the exchange to other players. So you can do that. You can basically live your life as a crafter. You can also be an architect, as we talked about. You know, you can be a pilot, a scout. You're not really heavily involved in the fighting, but you go out and you craft maps that you sell to other players as well of the world.
Where are we currently at?
Bro, this is sounding interesting. You know what this makes me think about? This makes me think, oddly enough, it makes me think of Sword Art Online when they're all stuck there for like 2 years. And some people like, you know what? I'm done clearing floors. I'm just gonna open up a shop and be a blacksmith or a weapons salesman. I could definitely see myself getting lost in the sauce. I am not much of an architect myself, but I would definitely be happy to take contracts, find materials for players that want to build things but aren't looking to get into the action. So I would definitely see myself playing as some type of mercenary. I go out, I get the items that people need, and then I bring them back to the correct architects. Now, it seems like they're really trying to pump up the amount of freedom of expression that we're going to be getting, and I'm really excited for that. A truly immersive MMO would give you the option to stay out of combat, and that's what it seems like what they're trying to do.
Like, I know there have been betas already. How many more of those are coming? When is the next one? What's the status of development? Where are we at?
So yeah, we've been running betas now for several months. They've been going really well. We're slowly inviting more people over time. So the game, yeah, I mean, we're not going to rush it out the door. We're going to work with our community and our players, and we're going to try and make the game as good as it possibly can be.
It takes as long as it takes, man.
It takes as long as it takes, and you got to do it well. So yeah, so we're working.
You hear that, developers? It takes the time it's gonna take. I'm just gonna let that one simmer there for you.
With our community, and yeah, betas are continuing right all the way through launch, and we're going to keep increasing the number of people in those betas, helping us stress test, yelling at us because they get eaten by sandworms, all those kind of good things.
All the good stuff. Speaking of good stuff, have there been any like recent milestones you're particularly excited about, or anything you want to share about the current development?
Sure. There's a thing as a creative director I like to say that we get a few aces every time we make a project. We get to make a few creative bets. There's a thing called the shifting sands, which is one of my most exciting. One of the things that makes me most excited about the game, and that is this location in the world. It's a full PvP area, and every week the Coriolis storm sweeps in and completely alters the landscape of this area. And I got to see that working for the first time very recently with full landscape changing and people able to play, and it's exciting to see these things coming online. And I think it's something
An area that changes. That's insane. I don't know if this is the first time this has ever been done. This is the first time I'm hearing of it, but like the concept of the sands moving and changing the area is wild. I mean, that definitely makes for interesting gameplay, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it when it's like fully realized.
People haven't seen before in a game, so I'm excited to let the audience in on it, you know?
I can't wait to be part of that audience, and I also can't wait to have more opportunities in the future to chat about the development and the process that you and the team are going through. Now, any last words, anything you want to say to your future player base?
Yes, thank you everybody for joining us on this journey. I hope today's show was like your first taste of spice, mildly euphoric, slightly addictive, and leaving you wanting more.
I certainly want more of that now. I'm pretty sure everyone watching as well, so remember, for a chance to get an invitation to any of the future closed beta tests, head on over to duneawakening.com and sign up for the beta. Then head on over to Steam and wishlist the game. You can also join our Discord and follow our other socials at Dune Awakening. Also, of course, you can keep up to date on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, where we will be showcasing regular sneak peeks into the world of Dune Awakening. Now, here is the moment that I'm pretty sure everyone has been waiting for.
All right,
let's take a look at our brand new gameplay trailer for Dune Awakening.
Arrakis is a test. Few survive it.
That's a small one?
Arrakis is a test. Few survive it. But the humans that do awaken.
Coming to Steam, PS5, and Xbox Series X. Are we going to be getting crossplay? Fingers crossed. That looked pretty freaking cool. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. That looked really cool. I'm very interested, very excited for the game. I'm gonna try to get into the open beta, well, the closed beta. Hopefully I can. We're gonna see. And with that being said, are you guys interested for Dune? Let me know in the comment section down below. And while you're there, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and ding that notification button to always stay up to date on what's going on. By the way, there's an email on the description. If you guys want to send me anything that you want me to react to, talk about, you can always send it to that email. Also, we have a goal. Our goal for the end of the year is to hit 1,000 subs. So if you can help me get there, that would be phenomenal. And if you don't want to, well, remember, at the end of the day, I'm just some guy on the internet, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.